It's one of the biggest cargo planes in the world, the Antonov 124.
It is capable of flying things that no other aeroplane can.
The cargo today is a massive wind turbine headed halfway around the world.
2368.
On the way, this flying freight train will encounter dangerous storms.
Just not so good weather around Recife. It's many thunderstorms.
Treacherous crosswinds, and nerve-wracking delays.
The scheduled time of departure is in 10 minutes.
That crane's not movable, so we're stuck.
What counts is to deliver the goods safely and on time. Make way for the heavy lifter, the Antonov 124, the pride of Ukraine. Captain Dmitry Antonov, no relation, at the controls.
I love my job, I love this plane.
He and his crew of 18 are 3 hours out of home base in Kiev. And minutes from touchdown at Dusseldorf, Germany. On the ground, a truck convoy clears security. The trailers are laden with crates the size of tool sheds, containing 86 tons of power-generating equipment. It's all going into the big belly of the Antonov for a 2-day, 12,000-kilometer flight to the far side of the world. Santiago, Chile. This eye-popping monster is the world's go-to plane for outsized commercial cargo, dwarfing onlookers and making even veteran airport workers gape. The Antonov 124 towers over its competitors in the cargo market. The tail is 7 stories high, and wingtip to wingtip, it's the width of a city block. Paul Furlonger works out of England for Ruslan International, which contracts big jobs for Antonov Airlines.
It is capable of flying things that no other aeroplane can, and that automatically makes it unique.
Today, it's a giant wind turbine, torn to pieces during the devastating 2010 earthquake in Chile. After 10 weeks of repairs in Germany, it's as good as new and ready for the trip home. 10 big crates weigh 50 tons, and one really big crate, the turbine's rotor, weighs another 36. Everything about this job is supersized, including the shipping cost. 1.2 million fat American dollars. The schedule is tight. It's 3 o'clock. Takeoff time is at 7. Vadim Konovko is the flight manager. Just 28 years old, he's Mr. Logistics, supervising every aspect of the job. Right now, he's going over the details of the loading with Dusseldorf ramp agent Sam Dietrich.
Fueling after the loading.
Yeah, okay.
So when we finish loading, then
The loading is finished, after then we start fueling it.
Yeah.
With the clock ticking, the technical crew starts the load in. They have a built-in overhead crane for the heavy lifting.
There is one piece which is 32 tons or thereabouts. That's too heavy for the aircraft's own cranes, and that's why we need to use the ramp system.
We will put a platform, moving platform, on these rails, and we will put a cargo on platform. We will take chains, and we will winch the cargo inside the aircraft.
This beast is built like a ferry boat. The nose and tail open wide to allow loading and unloading from both ends. The immense cargo bay can hold 42 cars stacked on 2 levels. Built into the nose is a hydraulic mechanism that lowers the big plane for loading. Supervising that critical task is Loadmaster Sergei Onopchenko. Secure placement of the load is crucial. It's all balanced like a seesaw and chained down. Even a small shift could throw the plane's center of gravity out of whack, making it tail heavy, disrupting airflow over the wings, and sending it falling out of the sky.
как минимум повреждение воздушного судна. Если же груз достаточно тяжелый и сместится достаточно далеко, то возможна и катастрофа.
Sergei will follow a computer-generated loading plan that specifies the exact position of each crate in the cargo bay. Starting with the biggest, the crate containing the giant rotor. It will go in through the nose. It's a job of millimeters. One slip could cause serious damage to the cargo or the plane. The delicate process takes 60 nerve-wracking minutes and comes off smoothly. While the rest of his team tears down the ramp and rails, Sergei makes sure the huge crate is securely anchored. Now, the 10 remaining crates come aboard through the tail. They've all been custom-made for the Antonov's cargo bay. With the cargo on board, the nose is raised. The big doors are closed. And the tanks are topped up with 56 tons of jet fuel for the first leg of the flight. Right on schedule, the big wind turbine is ready for its flight to Chile. Now, it's over to Dmitry and his flight crew. They'll have a 2-day journey with fuel and rest stops in Spain, the Cape Verde Islands, and twice more in Recife and Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, before finally touching down in Santiago, Chile. Every leg of their trip, every stop, has been scheduled in time to the minute. But they're all used to the rigorous hours and supersized cargoes. Need a bunch of cars flown somewhere? Or a locomotive? Or maybe a yacht? How about a plane in a plane? They've all flown on one of the 7 Antonovs in the fleet. Every one of them is on a tight schedule, including their costly downtime in the maintenance hangar back in Kiev. Today, Maintenance Chief Sergei Piatek supervises a C-check, a mandatory inspection after every 2,000 hours of flight time. Here, it's life or death for the big 124. If it fails to pass this test, it could be headed for the scrap heap. The C-check is no look under the hood, kick the tires, walk around. It takes 3 weeks and covers everything: engines, avionics, and airframe. The more rigorous D-check, stripping the plane to the rivets, takes 3 months.
Мелочей нет, потому что любая мелочь, она может потянуть за собой плохие последствия.
This plane is in its final week in the hangar. It still needs a landing gear test, stress testing of the wing flaps, and reinstallation of 2 overhauled engines. Back in Dusseldorf, Dmitry does an inspection of his own. The pre-flight walk-around, a multi-point check of flaps, latches, lights, doors, and especially the big tires to make sure the 124 is good to go.
Should be with no damage. Just sometimes checking inside to find probably some stones, something like this.
Dmitry has plenty of technical backup. His crew of 18 includes specialists in engine repair, avionics, and a lot more.
There are 9 technicians on aircraft, and each technician is responsible for his own system.
Inside, it looks like a parts store. The bulkheads crammed with tires, lubricants, and the nuts and bolts for quick fixes on the fly.
I can't walk across the tarmac and say, excuse me, I need a washer or a seal for an Antonov 124. They'll look at me as if I'm crazy.
And we have spare parts. In case of some damage, we can fix it, change it.
But today, one part is missing: a resonator, a cooling component for the 124's avionics. A supplier in Dusseldorf is rushing a spare to the airport. 40 minutes to departure, Dmitry verifies the weight of the cargo, fuel load, and current weather conditions. He's ready for takeoff. Well, almost. The reservator still hasn't arrived, and they don't want to leave without it.
Nobody is there.
Yeah, I know. He just right. He made a wrong turn.
Okay.
They need to restock when and where they can. Time is running out.
The scheduled time of departure is in 10 minutes from now. And we hope so.
Any delay will have a ripple effect, throwing the whole carefully timed 5 legs of the flight off schedule. If that happens, it could take days to sort it all out, costing both Antonov Airlines and their customer in Chile a lot of money. There are jumbos, there are super jumbos, and there's the monster jumbo, the Antonov 124. In Dusseldorf, Germany, to collect 86 tons of freight for delivery to Santiago, Chile. That's a 12,000-kilometer trip, meaning the big plane has to carry hundreds of spare parts for quick fixes along the way. But moments before departure, a glitch.
We are almost ready for flight, but we are waiting for one spare part. Should be very soon here.
It's a reservator, a cooling component, and the delivery guy is lost.
We couldn't find the gate 36, you know, that's the problem.
Less than 5 minutes before departure, the part arrives.
Have a nice trip, see you next time, yeah? Bye-bye.
The big bird rolls, right on schedule. 300 tons of airplane, fuel, and cargo is now in Dmitry's hands.
Antonov 2368, approaching holding point X-ray.
To get it all off the ground, he'll need 2,700 meters of runway. The runway here is 3,000. It's going to be close.
2368, hello. Line up runway 05 right. Give me a call when you're fully ready for departure. Lining up 05 right. I'll call you when ready. 2368.
Flight engineer Viktor Mojayev monitors the 4 massive Ivchenko Progress D-18 turbofan engines. They must deliver every ounce of their combined 90,000 kilograms of thrust, or Victor will call a no-go.
Tower, Antonov 2368, fully ready for departure. 2368, it's always good to have you here, and you're clear for takeoff. Goodbye. You're good to greet, Mr.
Dmitry redlines the engines, pops the brakes, and puts everything on the line.
Stop all circle.
It's no jackrabbit start, but the giant begins accelerating down the runway. 15 seconds in, they reach 258 kilometers an hour, the abort speed, and they're more than halfway down the runway. It's too late to stop now. At 2,700 meters into the run, they accelerate past 290 kilometers an hour. And then, airborne. Precisely as planned, with 300 meters of runway to spare. The first leg, Dusseldorf to Vitoria, Spain. Flying time, 2 hours and 30 minutes at an altitude of 35,000 feet. Dmitry Antonov is a former military and test pilot. Home for Dmitry is Kiev, but his second home is right here.
1995, I started flying this aircraft, and total flight time about 13,000 hours.
Even after all that flight time, he's still amazed by what the 124 can do.
We can take any cargo. No other airplane can do it.
With the 124 aloft, the tech crew who loaded the cargo can get some rest. But there's no first-class cabin here. The tech crew deck at the back of the plane is bare bones. This plane was built to be a workhorse. It was commissioned by the former Soviet Union in the 80s to haul the Red Army's tanks, trucks, and big guns. By the 90s and the end of the Cold War, the 124 was headed for the boneyard. But its creators in Kiev saw an opportunity.
В период конца 90-х годов, и нужно было зарабатывать деньги. И этот самолет, мы посмотрели, что он как раз может зарабатывать деньги.
That not only saved the plane, it saved the Antonov company.
This aircraft, Antonov 24, was at correct place at correct time because it started to be operated by our company for commercial flights and gave us money which was very necessary to keep our company alive.
The move from military workhorse to commercial cargo carrier required several upgrades, including computerized flight controls, sophisticated avionics, and a new, more reliable engine. The original 124s were plagued by engine failures, and the plane itself only had a 20-year lifespan. But with upgrades, that has been more than doubled.
И на сегодняшний день он имеет сертифицированное свое типовое решение, при котором он имеет возможность летать на сегодняшний день, оговорюсь сразу же, 50 тысяч летных часов, 45 лет, 10 тысяч полетов.
The key to extending their life is a lot of rigorous maintenance. Two of this 124's Ivchenko Progress engines are just back from a complete factory overhaul. Now it's time to rehang them on the plane.
Значит, наша техническая бригада сейчас собирает внутренний контур двигателя. Кроме этого, навесили уже, будем так говорить, обтекатели реверса.
Sergei's technicians watch closely for any tiny flaw that could threaten safety or performance in the air. Dmitry and this 124 are on schedule, well out of Germany, and headed towards their first stop in Vitoria, Spain. Radio operator Oleksandr Petrovsky tracks progress.
Okay, we can see on the map on the computer, we now over the French territory, we passed the Belgium and Germany, and we are shortly will be entering the Spain airspace.
Up front, Dmitry is already preparing for arrival.
I think we will start descent in about 10 minutes and expect landing time in 40 minutes.
The 124 makes a smooth landing just after 9 p.m. local time. This is just a pit stop. Everyone stays on board, except the tech crew, which sees to the fueling. On the flight deck, everyone is busy preparing for the next leg of the trip. They're airborne again in 90 minutes and flying into trouble. Next stop, the Cape Verde Islands in the mid-Atlantic, the place where hurricanes are born. The weather report, high winds. Dmitry will have to bring the big 124 down in vicious crosswinds in the middle of the night. The Antonov 124, one of the world's biggest cargo planes, cruises into the night. Westbound, high over the Atlantic Ocean, on a 2-day, 5-leg journey to Santiago, Chile. The second leg, a 4-hour flight from Spain to the Cape Verde Islands. Cape Verde will be no pit stop. Regulations require a 12-hour rest break.
The crew of our company, of Antonov company, has a duty limit time. Actually now we fly with double crew and the maximum duty time is 18 hours.
But getting there safely is going to be tricky. The Cape Verde weather station reports gusty crosswinds at the airport. That means a potential heavy landing and major stress on the plane's massive landing gear. That kind of problem has been anticipated in Kiev, where senior technician Vitaly Houghton supervises a key component of the C-check, the undercarriage test.
Перед окончанием вот этих работ проверочных нужно обязательно проверить работоспособность от всех систем шасси.
The main gear, like everything else on the 124, is immense. Five sets of dual wheels on each side share the weight. If a tire blows, the others will pick up the load. Vitaly must make sure each set of wheels extends and retracts correctly every time. He relays commands to a technician in the cockpit.
Второй ряд, выпуск от шасси. Выпуск. Шасси выпущено нейтрально.
Vitaly checks for full travel of the gear, hydraulic leaks, and anything that might compromise the tires.
Второй ряд номер.
When he's satisfied, he moves on to the nose gear and a glitch.
Выше, давай на выпуск, да и все. На выпуск, потом посмотрим, расходов не хватает.
The problem, a drop in hydraulic pressure. It's fixed with a few adjustments on the flight deck.
Шасси выпущено нейтрально.
Vitaly will run the test again and again to make sure the problem's solved for good. In the air, there are no second chances. 2 a.m., 1,000 kilometers off the African coast. Dmitry is on final approach to Cape Verde. The runway runs north and south, but treacherous and gusty winds are blowing from the west, buffeting the big plane. He wants to avoid a missed approach, a go-around, and a possible disaster. Dmitry calls on every one of his 13,000 hours of flight time, crabbing the nose into the wind and applying just the right amount of rudder to set the 124 down right on the button. They're still on schedule and still answering to the clock. Even though there's a 12-hour rest stop, it can't begin until Dmitry dismisses his flight crew. Every minute he delays doing that, delays the departure time, and threatens the rigid schedule. Dmitry's anxious to leave, but won't until he has done his walk-around. Finally, Dmitry, satisfied his plane is safe to fly again, declares the flight crew officially off duty. But for the tech crew, the work has just begun. The 4-hour flight from Spain has burned 74 tons of jet fuel, so the tanks will have to be topped up before taking off again. But with 86 tons of cargo on board, there's a limit to how much fuel can be added at each stop.
Takeoff has total takeoff weight. And according to this total takeoff weight, according to the cargo, we can calculate that amount of fuel, maximum amount of fuel we can take on board.
Empty, the 124 can stay in the air for 14 hours without refueling. But with this load, the maximum flight time is just 5 hours. While the plane is being refueled, other crew members check the dozens of chains that hold the cargo in place. Even if a single piece is shifted, the 124's carefully plotted center of gravity could change, causing the plane to fall out of the sky.
В принципе, груз контролируется на каждой посадке. Перед каждым взлетом осматриваются все связи швартовочные.
Flight manager Vadim checks every detail for the next leg, Cape Verde to Brazil.
I've got mobile internet, GPS, internet. I can do all my paperwork, take fresh weather forecast, turbulences, wind charts.
And those weather reports look ominous. When they get back into the air, it won't be fair weather flying. At 4 a.m., 2 hours after landing, Sergei and the tech crew sign off. Vadim is the last to leave.
Next, we go to hotel. I just checking in as a technical crew, making sure that they're all fine, they're all okay, and after that, I will have a sleep.
"12 hours later, everyone's back at the plane to begin the second half of their 12,000-kilometer journey.
Destination is Recife. That's city on the beach. You see Brazil territory.
The weather has worsened. Vadim's meteorological reports now show powerful disturbances along the flight path.
Just not so good weather around the Recife. It's many thunderstorms.
And they can be vicious with turbulence up to 50,000 feet, 15,000 feet higher than the Antonov's maximum cruising altitude. Dmitry won't risk flying through them.
Maybe a little bit deviation from our route.
Day 2, early evening. Dmitry's 124 takes off from Cape Verde, heading for the coast of Brazil. On a wing and a prayer. "24 hours into a 2-day journey to Santiago, Chile, Captain Dmitry Antonov pilots his 124 towards Brazil, which has been pounded by fierce thunderstorms. The worst cells have now moved offshore and right into the 124's flight path. The third leg, Cape Verde Islands to Brazil. Flying time, 4 hours at an altitude of 28,000 feet. Dmitry changes course to avoid the storms, expecting to fall behind schedule. But he picks up strong tailwinds and reaches the coast of Brazil 3 minutes ahead of schedule.
Давай, устанавливаем 4200. Да-да, у нас, отдаю.
The runway at Recife is long enough at 3,300 meters, but now it's wet and slippery. Water on the runway reduces friction and can cause hydroplaning. The rookie temptation is to stand on the brakes, causing the plane to fishtail and risking a crash. But Dmitry's no rookie. He lets the 124's aerodynamic friction slowly rob the giant plane of its speed. It takes 15% more runway to stop than usual, but the landing is under control. Every takeoff and landing puts enormous stress on the 124's airframe. In Kiev, that's what they're testing right now.
Сегодня вы присутствуете при проведении усталостных испытаний закрылка первой секции крыла самолета Руслана Н-124.
The flaps take the biggest beating. In the stress lab, they're subjected to pressure and vibration that simulates an actual landing. And here, the rule is, the rougher, the better. Technician Olga Litvinenko closely watches the flaps' performance.
Вот на этом графике у нас показывается отработка вибрационного канала. Задания по этим вибрационным каналам мы просматриваем в специально заданных блок-сегментах в соответствии с заданием, которое у нас есть. Красным показаны аварийные границы, которые мы не можем превышать. Синий цвет у нас задание.
The 124's tail and undercarriage will get the same treatment. If the plane fails any one of these tests, it won't be returned to service.
Это старая техника, но поскольку она летает во всем мире, мы обязательно ее содержим здесь, а возможно продление ресурсов.
Shippers around the world keep the 124s busy, and demand is increasing.
Самолет себя зарекомендовал таким образом, что сейчас достаточно серьезно рассматривается вопрос о возобновлении его серийного производства в новом модернизированном варианте. У нас есть разные предложения для любых заказчиков этого самолета, поэтому говорить, что он прекратит свое существование и будет не воспользован в будущем, это было бы неправильно. Если возобновление серийного производства произойдет, то самолету предстоит очень долгая жизнь.
So the 124's reputation is on the line with every flight and every inspection. In Recife, Dimitri's 124 has been topped up with 38 tons of fuel. 45 minutes after landing, the plane is back in the air. The fourth leg, Recife to Rio de Janeiro. Flying time 2 hours and 45 minutes for another fuel stop. The fifth and final leg, Rio to Santiago, Chile. Flying time 4 hours and 19 minutes. This is the hardest, most exhausting part of the 2-day journey. They've been flying in the dark since leaving the Cape Verde Islands and won't see daylight again until they are over the Andes. At the Santiago airport, flight coordinator Sergio Mella prepares for the 124's arrival.
The aircraft is coming, flying over the Cordillera, Los Andes, and coming to Santiago.
The Antonov is 20 minutes from touchdown.
The aircraft is on time, we have to go. Let's go then.
But there's a new weather problem: fog.
We've got the visibility 1 kilometers, 1 or 2 kilometers. We'll have to wait for the weather information.
They've already diverted some flights. If it gets worse, they might close Santiago, sending Dimitri to an alternate airport in Argentina. "41 hours after leaving Dusseldorf, Germany, Dimitri flies his Antonov 124 over the Andes, en route to Santiago, Chile. He has 86 tons of freight on board, including a massive wind turbine for an eager customer. But heavy fog may close the airport, forcing the 124 to divert to Mendoza, Argentina, 215 kilometers away, delaying the delivery by many hours. Right now, it's touch and go. Back in the Kiev maintenance hangar, everything's on schedule. Sergei Piatek and his crew are close to completing their exhaustive 3-week sea check of this 124. The 4 turbofan engines have been overhauled. The last one is being reinstalled.
Процесс идет нормально, да, мы уже его навесили на пилон. Сейчас идет, будем так говорить, затяжка, тарированная затяжка болтов. Для того, чтобы создать нормативное усилие затяжки.
It's the king of torque wrenches, precisely controlling the force exerted on the bolts. Crucial when you're hanging a 9-ton engine on an airplane wing. All that remains is a final inspection. A clean bill of health from Sergei, and this baby's ready to fly again. For Dimitri, things aren't so certain. The clear skies 200 kilometers out of Santiago are deceiving. On the approach, the ceiling is down to almost zero because of fog. For this landing, Dimitri will rely on the instrument landing system. The ILS emits 2 signals, establishing the plane's exact lateral and vertical direction. The autopilot picks up those signals and keeps the plane precisely on its landing path, the glide slope. But Dimitri won't know for sure if the ILS has done its job until the 124 breaks through the fog. If he doesn't see a runway below, he'll have just seconds to hit the throttles and abort the landing. The runway appears, right on target. And the cargo arrives, right on time.
5 miles before runway, we are exactly on glide slope, glide path with normal speed and safely landing. Welcome to Chile.
And welcome to the photo op. After 20 hours on board, the flight crew is eager to get some rest. But they'll have to wait while Dmitry grants the airport's public relations crew a rare interview.
Antonov.
Finally, it's mission accomplished for the flight crew. They leave for a hotel, while the tech crew begins the offload. Vadim and Sergio work out the logistics.
We need a big forklift which can carry 4.5 tons.
Right.
4.5 and more. Okay.
Morning.
It's 1 o'clock. The unloading is scheduled to take 5 hours, so it should be done well before dark. But just when they think all is in order,
They must have a visa.
So the hitch is the Ukrainians need a visa, apparently. And we've been here before and not had the problem. So I'm guessing they've changed the rules.
Vadim has to sort this out, or the tech crew will be stuck on the plane all night.
You can't have a shower. It's much harder to get a decent meal.
Vadim and Paul consult with the authorities.
This guy is the chief of on duty. Told just once I will allow you to go to the country without a visa, but all the crew have to go right now.
With the tech crew at immigration, the offload comes to a standstill. Nothing moves for half an hour, then an hour, then 90 minutes. After 2 full hours, they're back, with temporary visas, good for this one time. (3 p.m., now well behind schedule. The crew takes less than an hour to unload the smaller crates from the back of the plane. Now they move to the nose to tackle the big one, the 36-ton wind turbine.
We just built the trails, we'll winch it out of the aircraft. The crane will pick it up, put it on a truck.
Vadim estimates the unloading will be completed in just 2 hours.
In that moment, the customer is happy.
The tech crew makes short work of the ramp and rail assembly. Now, a flatbed truck and 2 cranes roll into place. This lift will be trickier than the loading in Dusseldorf. Crane manager Pablo Schuler has planned the operation carefully.
Each crane will lift one of the end, then the load will be turned in 90 degrees clockwise and then positioned over the truck.
The 2 crane operators must move in sync, or the big crate will fall.
More complicated because each operator must have a better communication with each other, you know.
The crate is winched out of the hold.
At the moment, the cargo is still on ramp system. When it will be a few centimeters of ramp system, it will be not our problem.
So the show will start right now when we lift the cargo.
But the show never gets started. This crane is kaput.
Clearly they've got a major hydraulic leak with this crane. They can't move the crane. They can't shut the boom down. They can't lift it off the jacks and drive it out of the way.
Technically, this is the customer's problem, but the 124 and its crew are caught in the middle.
It's our problem because that crane's not movable. We can't move the cargo without the piece gets lifted off our extension ramp, so we're stuck.
4 p.m., a new crane arrives, but the unloading plan is out the window. The broken crane can't move, so the third crane has to come in at a different angle.
The idea is to move in that direction the truck and then lift the cargo in an anti-clockwise direction.
They'll work with just centimeters to spare.
Our maximum risk is to have contact with the nose of the plane, you know, because the ropes will be very close to the nose.
Sergey and Vadim don't like it.
We will be very close to the nose, so this way load master is here and he will be watching.
Any miscalculation by the crane operators, or even a gust of wind, and the 124's nose could be damaged, grounding the aircraft for weeks. On the tarmac in Santiago, delivery of a 36-ton crate of power-generating equipment is just meters from completion and millimeters from an accident. The lifting cables on the cranes run perilously close to the nose of the big Antonov 124.
Тут кран надо передвигать дальше, и этот туда смещать, и дальше что получится. It seems like these cranes have to be moved a little bit further from the aircraft.
This could be a disastrous end to what was a perfect mission. If the 124 is damaged, it could be weeks before it gets off the ground again. And with just 7 of them in operation, it could be a serious blow to the business. Sergey isn't happy about the arrangement, but he's willing to give the lift a try.
В результате, может быть, удастся, может быть, нет. Сейчас будем смотреть.
Vadim sticks close, ready to call off the lift at the first sign of trouble.
Worrying about the aircraft. Just worrying not to damage aircraft. That's the main thing.
But these crane operators are real pros. And the lift goes smoothly.
Very nice. Finally we finished with daylight.
Now our flight is finished. Contract is accomplished, so we're good to go. It's good now.
The 2-day, 12,000-kilometer job was tightly scheduled and meticulously planned. But experience has taught these guys one big lesson.
Whatever you plan, and however many contingencies you try to cover, you can't cover them all. And, well, the crane broke, so what are you going to do? You're going to solve the problem.
After a few hours in the luxury of a Santiago hotel, Dmitry and his crew are back, gearing up for the next mission. The pace is relentless. In just 10 hours, they're due in Albuquerque, New Mexico, to load the 124 with aerospace parts for delivery to Hanoi. Then they're off to China, Japan, and Pakistan.
Tower, Antonov 2368, we're ready for departure. Good takeoff, get a hold right, Antonov 2368, good day.
Well, if you take the hours it's flown and divide that roughly by the number of hours it takes to go around the world, once it's been around the world about 900 times.
Здесь всегда что-то новое и что-то интересное. Ну и ни один другой самолет не позволит посетить столько по миру и увидеть.
if to count the countries, I have already visited all the continents except the Antarctica.
Sometimes when asking, where have you been on this aircraft? I think it's much better to ask where is the place when never been.
So if you see a 4-engine giant soaring over your town, give it a wave. It may well be Dmitry and his crew doing another big lift in the mighty Antonov 124, king of cargo planes.